disappearing into the distance in quite the way perhaps he has done here in the Red Bulls in the past, but you just get the feeling he has done exactly what's needed to keep utter control. Concentration needs to be there all the way to the flag here. So easy to make a slip-up. Ricciardo's been allowed to kind of close the gap a little bit in the last few corners. But here is Sebastian Vettel rounding the final turn. And Sebastian Vettel wins in Singapore. His 4th win here in 5 years. What an incredible record. Daniel Ricciardo finishes in 2nd, his best finish of the season. These two who were teammates last year at Red Bull, just congratulating one another. 3rd place goes to Kimi Räikkönen, only his 2nd podium of the season. In the background, Alexander Rossi finishes his 1st ever Grand Prix and beats his teammate Will Stevens. Ferrari power, of course, in the back of that car, but it's a Ferrari celebration in Singapore. A 42nd career win for Sebastian Vettel. That moves him ahead of Senna's tally.
Yes, you did it! You did it! Pole position, race lead from lap 1. You great, you magic.
Sei un campione, grande Sepp.
Grazie ragazzi, grazie. Che giornata, che giornata. Che dire. Mi sentite? Forza Ferrari!
Let me tell you, Verstappen did not hand his position over. Verstappen has finished 8th. Let's quickly run you through the order. Vettel, Ricciardo, Raikkonen 3rd. Rosberg finished 4th. Bottas 5th. Kvyat 6th. Perez held on to 7th, but Verstappen refused to do what Toro Rosso asked him. He finished 8th. Sainz finished 9th, and Felipe Nasr got the final point in 10th. So there's going to be a little bit of a story after the race about Toro Rosso and team orders, but up front, no doubt about the winner, David. An absolutely exemplary drive once again from Sebastian Vettel, and a great challenge from Daniel Ricciardo in the end. 2nd place was what they had, and he got that position.
Very good job today, mate. Pace was excellent. You did get the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, and I think that's some consolation and some hope for the Red Bull team as they go into uncertainty now as to what engine they're going to have in the back of that car. Most likely it will be a Ferrari, but I think that the drive from Sebastian Vettel, truly world-class performance, and Daniel Ricciardo, nothing to be ashamed of. Kimi Räikkönen still lacking that last little bit of pace and understanding relative to Vettel, and a disappointing day for the Mercedes team.
Yeah, Nico Rosberg finished in 4th place, Valtteri Bottas in 5th, Danny Kvyat in 6th place, Perez hanging on well there in the end to finish 7th, always seems to have a good result in Singapore. Max Verstappen 8th, despite being lapped early on in this race. Carlos Sainz 9th, and Felipe Nasr finished in 10th, his 1st point since Monaco, and I think that was well earned in the end. He had to fight his way past the Lotuses. Ericsson actually got past Maldonado, and Grosjean came into the pits towards the end, so I'm afraid Lotus failed to score any points. But Alexander Rossi did bring it home in his 1st Grand Prix. Will Stevens was the final finisher. We lost both McLarens. We lost Lewis Hamilton for the 1st time this year during one of the races. And of course, we also lost both Felipe Massa and Nico Hülkenberg. Well, the Ferrari flags are flying. It's the 224th F1 win for the Maranello team. A team that's been in the World Championship pretty much from the very start, of course, and they've won here in the past. Fernando Alonso took the victory here in 2010, but they've got 1st and 3rd. To get both cars to a podium finish really is quite an achievement, and although Kimi Räikkönen couldn't quite find a way past Daniel Ricciardo, nonetheless, it's a good performance for the Finn. I think he'll be pretty happy with that 3rd place finish. The rest of the cars making their way in at the moment. Interestingly for Kimi, it matches his best finish here in Singapore. He finished 3rd for Lotus a couple of years ago, back in 2013, when he came from 13th place on the grid, remarkably, but matching his best ever finish here. Sebastian Vettel it is, though, who has taken victory in Singapore. And it's time to light up the sky in celebrations for Ferrari success. Well, David, start of this year, Maurizio Arrivabene, the new boss of Ferrari, said, I think we can get 2 wins. And everybody thought he was being over-optimistic. They thought Mercedes looking more dominant than ever, and indeed they have been. But somehow Ferrari have now taken 3 victories. What does this tell us about the progress the team's making?
Well, I think that the over the winter progress they made in the engine has taken them right into that zone, and James Key and the various other technical people there feel that they're getting on top of some of the issues they had in the past with wind tunnel correlation with the racetrack. That with a fresh emphasis and work ethic of Vettel has just brought them into these. Other wins this year have been maybe slightly more fortunate. This was a dominant display, and well, a long way to go in this season. Mercedes will be back, but it certainly bodes well for Ferrari. I'm sure their focus is very much on next year's car.
Just 8 points behind Rosberg now, Sebastian Vettel in the World Drivers' Championship. That is remarkable, isn't it? And of course, Lewis Hamilton still leads by some 41 points. Such was his margin that he had after Monza. But Vettel right in there, certainly for second. And, you know, he would only need Hamilton to have a couple of unusual, it has to be said, non-finishes. But it's happened here, and it could happen again. And Vettel would still be in the championship hunt, which seems remarkable.
Well, can you remember a time when people were going, oh, he was only winning in the Red Bull because he has the best car and things like that? It was just crazy. The guy has been exceptional throughout his whole career.
Definitely right. In the Constructors' Championship, by the way, no major changes. Force India hanging on to 5th place, Lotus in 6th place. Toro Rosso scoring some useful points, though, there today. Still a little bit behind Lotus. Of course, McLaren failing to score any points. They remain 9th in the Constructors' Championship, which is a bit of a shock, really. Many people hoped that the collaboration with Honda would bring them a lot more than that. And it would be very significant if they finish the season down there, because they will lose a huge amount of income from the Formula One prize fund, if you like, if McLaren finished that far down. But it wasn't a good day for McLaren Honda today. Both cars withdrawing from the Grand Prix, but a very good day for Sebastian Vettel. Always great celebrations. It's a big year here in Singapore as well. It's celebrating the 50th anniversary of independence, so there's been an awful lot of celebrations and fireworks throughout the last couple of months. A big weekend, of course, always to have the Grand Prix here as well. And they do put on an absolutely tremendous show. Thousands and thousands of fans packed in. And many of them will stick around for the music tonight. Bon Jovi's playing in just about 20 minutes or so, I think. Yeah,
it would be unfortunate if you'd happened to book a trip here on holiday not knowing the Grand Prix was on and you were an early bedder.
That's right. You might struggle to get a hotel room. That might be the other problem too. But wonder why you're paying twice the odds. But
good point. It's normally about 5 nights minimum stay, isn't it?
That's right. But a great show. They do put on a great show, and the firework display over the Marina Bay here, another stunning part of the scene.
It's just continuing to up the standards that are expected from many of the Grand Prix tracks around the world, and you know, that's not quite the sort of surprise joy that we saw in Malaysia, and that's him sending the camera over to the team saying this is about Team Ferrari. Doesn't want to take the limelight himself, wants to make sure it goes on all of the hard-working people that are here, and of course hundreds of them that are back in Italy itself. And I'm sure the suppliers to this team, many of them will be UK-based.
Yeah, well, it's an international sport, there's no doubt, but it is an Italian national team, is Ferrari, and this will be certainly causing great delight across Italy to see their team taking such a strong victory throughout the whole weekend, and a double podium along with it as well.
Yes, yellow flag, double. Sorry, mate.
Seb's engine man, known as Motti, there to congratulate after a tremendous performance and seeing both drivers in there.
It was fine, I think. Filming across the phone. Getting a video of that. Okay. Huh? I think he was taking a video.
Talking about that spectator who walked over the track causing the safety car, Daniel Ricciardo saying there, saying he was taking a video.
Yeah, seems incredible that anybody would put themselves at that kind of risk. But thankfully, nothing untoward happened from that.
Handing out the towels.
Complimenti.
That's very gentlemanly of him, isn't it?
It's all right, Kimi says, I've got my own.
I think he said, I've eaten already.
But with Kimi only having had the one podium so far, up to now, it's a good return to form for him.
Kimi there, I wonder if he's reflecting on what do I have to do to beat this guy.
Yeah, well, that is the problem he has, of course, and especially at a circuit like Singapore. It really does make quite a difference when Sebastian Vettel has dominated this track, not just for Ferrari, but for Red Bull in the past. He seems to have a real sympathy for the track. When he gets the rhythm in the car right, gets the feeling in the car that he needs, then he is very, very difficult to beat here. So Lewis Hamilton might have won the race here last year. He's had 2 victories, but Sebastian Vettel now has taken a 4th win around this Marina Bay street circuit, and the guys heading out onto the podium now. Kimi Raikkonen to celebrate a fine 3rd place. Daniel Ricciardo with a huge Australian contingent celebrating 2nd. His parents here this weekend to cheer him on as well. But there's no doubt about who's taken victory. It is Sebastian Vettel.
Here he comes, Sebastian Vettel with Modesto Minamoy from the engine department of Scuderia Ferrari. And in their honour we hear the German and Italian national anthems.
For only the 2nd time this year, it is a podium without a Mercedes driver anywhere to be seen. We saw that in Hungary, and a strange race for both Mercedes drivers, although at least they both finished then. But this time, neither Hamilton nor Rosberg have achieved a podium. It's 2 Ferrari drivers separated by the Red Bull driver, Daniel Ricciardo. And you do wonder whether Ferrari are keeping an eye on that Daniel Ricciardo for the future as well. His name certainly came up in conversation when they were talking about replacing Raikkonen. They have stayed with Kimi for another year. And I wonder if in 12 months' time we might not be hearing that Ricciardo could be switching to the Italian team. We'll have to wait and see. A lot can happen in that time. But he's delighted with what he's done here today. And rightly so. Red Bull much more like their old form. Whether they're going to be able to repeat that in the upcoming races, we'll have to see. And Kimi Raikkonen, always popular as well.
Congratulations to him. And now, at your feet is the champagne!
Time to enjoy the moment for Sebastian Vettel. He's done this many times on the Singapore podium, but he's achieved it with this new team, with Ferrari. A team in rebuild, but a team that is delivering already and going into a final part of the season.